short-staffed on personnel for nearly half the year. It was a struggle. That being said, our people persevered and we pushed through, and here we are today. Back in February, we relaunched our initiative to combat the underage sale of cannabis and alcohol in our town. That included several covert, undercover, if you will, details at retail locations here in our town. We also worked with the town supervisor, prior town attorney, and code enforcement to establish some local legislation to give the town of Ogden some power to prevent these controlled substances from ending up in the hands of minors. Right now we have to go through New York State Office of Cannabis Management, the State Liquor Authority, but those are all agencies that we have no control over. We need them to come into our town, so great step forward there. Also in February, Officer Dent received a life-saving award. That is his second one. He used an AED to save the life of a civilian in our town. In March, we hired Officer Carlos Ortiz-Speed. He was a lateral that came to us from Genesee County. That was the position that was created by the board in 2023 and authorized for the 2024 budget. He's been doing great. He's coming up on almost a year here, and he's doing phenomenal. Back to the eclipse. On April 8th, we had all of our Ogden's police officers and special police on duty that day, minus, I believe, 2. It's the first time in my career I've seen all of us in the building at one time. And thankfully, we were prepared, but it was all for naught. And the second we realized that we didn't need to be here, I sent everybody home. But it's good training exercise, if nothing else. In April, usually in the springtime, the traffic safety initiatives kick off. We participated in a statewide initiative called No Empty Chair. Focuses on reducing the number of teenage drivers that are killed on the road. Also, in the springtime is when our training season kicks off. Starting next week, our officers will attend the annual in-service training at the training center. The topics vary from year to year. Last year, they were about pursuit tactics and legal updates. This year, they're going to have more legal updates and mental health related topics. Our officers attended their spring range in May. And also in May, our new she's not new anymore, animal control officer and 2 special police graduated from the Peace Officer Academy. One of the things last year that I'm proud of our department, we received almost $157,000 in grant money from New York State and the federal government. $90,000 of that was utilized to upgrade our outdated tasers. We've upgraded to a brand new platform there. The life expectancy on those is about 5 or 6 years. Ours we're approaching like the 7-year mark. So at no cost to the town, we were able to upgrade that and also include getting 5 new instructors trained by the company in virtual reality training as well. I will have you gentlemen come sometime to experience that because it's like playing a video game. It's amazing. The guys, I have to tell them not to do it, not to play with it because it's like a toy. The carnival last year drew very large crowds. Saturday night ultimately led to us shutting the access to the carnival down. And thankfully, after that, I've been in constant communications with the carnival committee, the sheriff's office, a lot of stakeholders, and we have a great plan for this year. I actually just had a meeting on Monday. So looking forward to working with them again. And then throughout the summer, one of my big initiatives has always been community engagement. It always will be so long as I'm the chief here. And the goal every year is to continue to expand that footprint. We accomplished that again last year. We had the torch run, a bike rodeo, more pizzas and pages events. That's where we get books donated to us from local libraries, get pizza donated. We just drop anchor at the corner down in the village. We give out books and pizza to kids. People are surprised by it. They're caught off guard, but they love it. So more to follow this year. Summertime's our busiest time of year, so we're doing all that stuff, very high call volume. And then last year we also had our Explorer Pulse wrapped up its first year. So very excited that came to fruition. We're already started in year 2. We had a spot check from the New York State Accreditation Program last year. We're halfway between our assessments here. We're doing 2026. The assessor that came to the department looked at what we had and gave nothing but great reviews, a couple suggestions, but no mandated changes. So that's always a sigh of relief in my world. Last year was the first time we've ever held an aggressive deadly behavior training in one of our school buildings. That's something that I also hope to continue moving forward. It's a heavy lift for us, but it was hard to believe that we've ever practiced any of that training in one of our own buildings. So we're gonna keep doing that moving forward. We saw a lot of change in personnel last year, ultimately resulting in the hiring of 3 new officers. Kevin Hall was hired in December to fill the part-time vacancy that was created by Officer Padalano. He brings over 30 years of law enforcement experience. He retired from Webster PD in 2013. Officer Mark Vanetti was promoted to the rank of sergeant back in December. He's a 10-year veteran of the Ogden Police. I believe he has 12 years total, and he's already settled in that new position. And our 2 newest hires are Officer Daly and Officer Regal. They're both laterals from out of county. They're going to finish their field training in 2 weeks. They're doing great. Can't wait to have them on the road. As we close the year, we also have more training. Training tends to be in the spring and the fall. And I was fortunate to go to a conference, the International Association of Chiefs of Police Conference. Sergeant Richards also attended the FBI LEDA part 1 of that trilogy. That's a pretty well-renowned executive leadership course for law enforcement. So he's doing part 2 of that in March. Throughout the year, we received numerous messages of gratitude from residents. I passed those on to the town supervisor. We're all just very appreciative of the support we receive from this community. I speak to colleagues that work in other jurisdictions, or when we have officers transfer in from out of the area, they're always overwhelmed with the support we get. So I just want to thank you folks for that, and thank the people behind me as well, because it really makes their lives much easier. We also had, towards the tail end of the year, we had Officer Brett and Officer Sherman, along with several Ogden Highway members that are here that received life-saving awards as well. Both of those officers, that was also their 2nd or 3rd time getting that award, so there's a trend here. I can't speak highly enough of those officers and the highway crews that were there that day. That's basically my summary. I just want to close with thanking the officers for what they had to face last year. It was a bit of a challenge, on top of everything else. We lost Special Police Officer Campbell unexpectedly off duty, and she had been around for a very long time. So with all of that, our officers and our special police were there through the thick of it, and they still are today. So I can't thank them enough for their dedication over the past year and your support. So that's the recap of last year. Any questions before I do the stats part of it? I'm trying to go quick. I don't want to take everybody's time.
Doing great.
So if you go to the PowerPoint that has the police car on the front page there, this is more of just a statistical breakdown of everything that, last year. So overall, the department snapshot, this includes part-time and full-time people. It was 19 officers. Our budget was $3.2 million. The overtime was $151 is what we budgeted for. We actually expended a little bit more, at $155,000. I actually don't think that's too bad, considering I didn't have a third of the department for most of the year. And that'll come back again. Talk about the cost per service. The next line there, $13,000. That's down a little bit from the past 2. Reported crimes, 538. The crimes that were cleared, 389. That's well above the national average. And there's the DWIRS and the traffic tickets that we issued. The next page just has a breakdown of our staffing deployment. Starting with what we call first platoon, which is the hours of 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. There are 2 officers and a sergeant, and the minimum is 1, except for the weekend, Friday and Saturdays from 10 until 2 in the morning. Next shift is the second platoon, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Again, 1 sergeant, 2 officers, and the minimum there is 2 after 10 o'clock. Third platoon, our busiest shift, the afternoon shift. There's a typo there. It's 2 to 10 p.m. 1 sergeant, 2 officers, and there's always a minimum of 2 there. When we're full strength, we actually have an overlap shift called fourth platoon that runs from 6 until 2. And at the bottom there, you see the rest of us that are kind of lumped into the admin category. That's me, the investigator, animal control, the clerks, and our part-time fleet manager, property clerk, and dare officer, so. Next page, I'm not gonna go over, it's the organizational chart, and these coming pages here kind of just show the historical data, with 2024 being on the right-hand side here, so crimes are about, holding even. It was up a little bit last year for open cases, closed cases, about the same. Overall, our bread and butter in this town, so to speak, is property crime, domestic violence, and mental health. Last year, our total arrests were only down by 10. I'm sorry, they're down almost 20. So that's just a reflection of, is it busy or is it not, really? Our uses of force were up a little bit, and it's hard to see the black and white copy here, but the lower number is mental health calls, and if you look at the trend there, they just continue to go up. We can just continue to see more and more mental health related calls. On the next page there, it says the calls for service from the dispatch center. So we typically average around 14,000, the ebb and flow. Last year was higher with 17,000. And this number includes officer-initiated activities as well as dispatched calls for service. So I think, again, that 13,000, considering I was down almost 4 officers most of the year, is actually indicative of it being a busier year when you subtract the personnel that were missing. So the rest here, moving along, on the next page on the bottom left, you can see the increase in the mental hygiene arrests. That's a record high for us, 153. Our traffic stops and DWIs are coming back up now that we have more officers. They have more time to do those sorts of things. If you flip the page again, the traffic tickets are back up. And then the last page, the overtime budget comparison there, that's really the one that's always piqued my interest. 2023, we came in under budget, which is great, and last year we came in 4,000 over. Again, running with a significant portion of the department out there, it's inevitable. We tried to mitigate it the best we could. So that's really all the data that I have. Any questions on any of that? Like, topics? No? Okay, we'll keep running. I also really thought it'd be a good idea while I had you as an audience to go over our goals and objectives. Real quick for 2025, that's in the packet. It's a memo addressed to the department with a letterhead on top. So this year we have 3 broad goals. The first one being enhancing public safety and operational efficiency by advancing our technological capabilities. In layman's terms, there's a lot of grant money out there, and we've secured some of that, and we're coming up with ways to try and utilize that to best benefit the town and our department. We're kicking around the idea of launching a drone program, license plate readers, but we can also we're getting new software for our schedule. We've been using an Excel spreadsheet to do our schedule forever, and it just doesn't work anymore. So that's the first goal, and some of the objectives are new technology. Also, we're looking at testing and evaluating new pistols. Our pistols will be 10 years old next year. That's the life expectancy of them. So if we can use grant money for any of that, that's my objective. Goal number 2, as I mentioned earlier, expanding our community engagements to strengthen the relationship with the community. I would like to bring back the Citizens Police Academy. That's something we hosted a long time ago. I continually hear people asking if we're going to offer that again. And for those that don't know, that's a probably 8 or 9 week program that we offer to adults in the community where they could come in and just learn about law enforcement in general, but also with the town of Ogden flavor. So we would use our instructors to talk about the different types of laws, demo some equipment, and so once our staffing kind of settles out and we can plan that, we will. I'd like to host that maybe in 2026, right around the beginning of the year when things kind of slow down. And we also are going to continue to host more educational events in the community. We'd like to do some kind of PSA type training here at the town hall as in regards to like human trafficking or online safety awareness. We had a notable case here at the school district last year where a teacher was exploiting children. So I think hosting training for parents to educate them on the dangers of social media is consider myself really that old. So it's constantly changing. So trying to keep up with that is, something that we're interested in. And then the last one is to develop and implement a long-term strategic plan for the police department that addresses the needs that we have and also the community. So again, and the objectives for that goal would be to create a working group to do that and establish the timeline and then come up ultimately with a 5-year plan. So that's kind of where we sit for our goals this year. Last year's goals we all met, that was great. I won't go into those because they're 2 years old now. So, and then the last thing is just a quick overview about the special police. And again, my hat's off to them. I could not do this without them. For those behind me that don't know, we have an all-volunteer unit that consists of 15 officers at their full strength. Right now, they're short 2. They're down to 13. But they're all volunteer, and they're a great force multiplier for us. And they help out in events like the carnival, 5Ks, Christmas on the Canal, Enchanted Village, is the new iteration. All the special events that I would normally have to pay overtime for, they do for free. So it's pretty clear how valuable they are. So last year, they volunteered a total of 2,400 hours to the town. They tend to be the busiest in the summertime as well, and a lot of the details roll too. But another big thing that they do is house checks. Every week they go out. Right now, currently, I think they have 27 house checks they do when people are traveling or down south for the wintertime. But last year, they did 411 house checks. They assisted our department 167 times, and they assisted the public 157 times. So it's just tremendous. One thing too that I always find interesting is the breakdown of the total hours of their details throughout the year. The carnival is always the biggest one because it's the heaviest lift. Their department volunteered 181 hours to that last year, and then it goes down to parades, 5Ks, things of that nature. And that is it. There's one other thing. They had their officers broken down. I just have to give credit here to some of these officers. Officer Bopp is a longtime member of the department. Over his career, he's up to 11,846 hours he's donated to the town. It's insane. Followed very closely by our special police chief. Chief Zambulo's at 9,043, and Captain Nielsen's at 9,000 even. So, again, I couldn't do it without them. They're a huge benefit to our town, and my hat's off to them. So, that's everything. It was a lot, but what other questions? Any questions? Come on, it's gonna be fun.
Too thorough. Too thorough. Covers all the questions.
Yeah, definitely don't mistake our lack of questions for anything that you've done. I think it was extremely thorough and much appreciated.
I'm excited. We have some new folks, new faces bring fresh perspective, and they're already doing great. I'm looking forward to working with them, and we're all looking forward to the year ahead. So.
Awesome.
Before you step away, I will say this, and Travis has asked me not to do this, and then I politely remind him that I'm his boss. Here's the thing. I think when you're in a small department, you recognize that there is leadership, there is the chief, but at the end of the day, they're all cops and they're all ready to do the work. And when we have been down a number of officers, I think it's pretty easy for leadership to just be like, all right, well, we're just down. It is what it is. And Travis personally, as the chief, has sacrificed time with his family to come and hop in a car and run the road and do patrol, because he doesn't. He obviously is the leader, but he'll make sure that he leads from the front when he needs to, and from the back when he needs to push people forward. But I just gotta, obviously hats off to the department and everybody doing that, but hats off to you, Chief, for never forgetting that at the end of the day that you're cop first, town first, but that honestly makes you more of a leader than not from the onset. So thank you for everything you've done.
I know it's not the right form, but if there's Anybody in the community that has a question for me, I'll be here. Yes, ma'am?
So if the special police, they're awesome.
Mhm.
Zambuto's fantastic.
Yes.
If they're down two people, how do you guys recruit for that?
We have
Selective.
a tight network with the other special police groups, so they'll reach out. We don't really advertise because then we get a flood of applicants. So we've had several people that have moved through town that reach out to us. So we have kind of a running list of people that have expressed their own interest that we'll work our way through.
Did we add 3 last year or 2?
We added 2, Officer Boer, Officer Drake, and Ariel. Officer Ambrose was the animal control. We went to the academy together, but we also lost Officer Campbell.
Yep.
We lost,
Great.
Officer Gregg, so, due to a work conflict, so he just had to step away, so, great question. But what I was gonna say, if there's ever a time, like, I'll be here tonight, and the office is always open, doors always open, call, I'll answer anything, so. That's it.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, I want to do something a little bit unusual, and I'm actually going to ask for a motion that we move a resolution out of order, and that resolution would be Resolution 108. So if somebody could make a motion to move Resolution 108 out of order, it would also need a second and then a vote.
A motion. I'll second.
Motion by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms to move Resolution 108 out of order. Is there any question? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so I now need a motion to move Resolution 108.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Toms, seconded by Councilman Hinman, and before we vote on it, the resolution just states appointing Doug Case as acting superintendent of highways and acting commissioner of public works effective February 23rd, 2025. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. And so with that, if the board, no, never mind. Mr. Case, if you'd like to come up and with anybody that you'd like to do the official swearing in.
You want your family to come up with you?
If the picture gets that in the background.
For anybody that doesn't know, we have a vacancy due to a retirement from the highway superintendent position, and it is the duty, but also the privilege for the board to consider candidates and to make the appointment to fill the remainder of the elected term. And at that time, the electoral process will take shape here. But here we are. We have an approved resolution, and so we'll go ahead and do the official swearing in. So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Doug Case, do solemnly swear that I will uphold the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New York, and that I will faithfully execute the position of Ogden Highway Superintendent to the best of my abilities, so help me God. Congratulations. You gotta come say it. You wanna say a few words?
Just thank you to the board for their support in this endeavor. I look forward to it. I'd like to thank the employees back here in the back that
We are too.
Welcome you to your new seat.
He wanted to do it.
Chair?
There it is. This is a setup, I heard.
Go gently into the
Careful,
night.
careful.
Don't lean back too
Careful.
fast.
We don't give the new guy the best chair, so.
I heard I got the worst chair here.
You can raise it if you
Did it do it?
No, he just did.
Oh, shit. All right, very good. Well, we have done those things here, so the next here is that we're looking for a motion on Resolution 102, which is moving the regular meeting minutes of February 12th.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Himmons, seconded by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Thanks, everybody, for being here if you're taking off. Also, if you want a second to take off, go ahead. If you want to stay, that's also okay. Okay, there you go. I knew it was there, I just wanted to wait a second, so. We'll go ahead and wait a couple of seconds here. Me either. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Enjoy dinner.
Can you make sure that's in the minutes?
I got the leftovers. They're going out to celebrate.
You're not gonna go
Here.
after the meeting,
We're
right?
celebrating you, though.
Yes.
You just don't get to go.
Okay. With that, the next item on the agenda is privilege of the floor. If there's anyone here that would like to address the board on any topic, now is the time. Come forward, state your name and your topic. And by the time you get up here, sir, I'm going to move that lectern right back. Oh, thank you, Christian. Just as a reminder, this is a time to address the board. The board may or may not actually respond, but if you don't get a response, we'll reach out and make sure that we can address your concern. So,
My name is Mark Kesselring, Kesselring. I was here a few months ago about doing safe boating
Boating.
or snowmobile courses. And at the time, and I know it's a different attorney, there was a big form that I was supposed to fill out, and the attorney wasn't, he was supposed to be unavailable and sick, and Supervisor Leonard said, well, he'll get back with you, and he never did, and her comment to me was, I don't know why you don't just sign the form. Well, my position is, I've been doing this for 25 years, maybe 30. I've done it with the Recreation Department in Hamlin, the Recreation Department. I did it here many years ago. I've done it for the snowmobile one for the Hilton Snow Flyers at their snow show. And last year, Rockport Library talked to the state and wanted to know if there was an instructor available, and I did that. None of them have ever asked me to fill out anything like this. And I guess my position now is what it was then. Somebody here paid a lawyer to develop your documents to protect the town, which is fine. But I do everything volunteer. I'm not gonna pay a lawyer to make sure that there's nothing in there that's gonna give me a problem. And so frankly, I got contacted by, I think Karen, somebody from the assistant, maybe I got the name wrong, the assistant person in recreation, and I guess she said she got her name from somebody in the town board about doing it. And then she sends me an email, and I get this information, and I got something to fill out, and part of it is, we'll take your photograph and your stuff from your Google account. Well, I don't have a Google account, so I couldn't figure it all out. And don't laugh, but my kids do. My email address is at AOL.com, and they always tell me that, and that just shows you that I've been doing email before you were even born. just wanted to tell you that I'm gonna politely decline, because this is the only one, and it's my town. I mean, I live in Ogden. It's my town, and I don't see, way back then when they first sent me things, I said, New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, they indemnify me as one of their instructors. I've been doing that, and I told, the people here, they can check it out, which I don't know whether they did or not, but this is the only entity at all that asked me to fill out all this stuff. And I thought it was great that we'd be offering a service to, I think it's great I offer a service to Riga and Hamlin and now Blackport. And my own town says I gotta jump through all kinds of hoops. So I'm just gonna bring it up and let you guys know. I don't know what the policy is, I don't know whether you set it or Recreation sets it, if it makes any sense to keep it. I mean, one of the things was, something like, what do I want Tuesday morning and all of that stuff. And all of my credentials for teaching and everything. And it's talking about preferred location, gymnasium. I don't have a preferred location, I just want a place that's got a screen and I can hook my computer up to, that I can take the state PowerPoint to, and places where people can sit and hopefully have a table in front of them like the other ones do, where they can sit and make notes on the manuals that I send out. So it's not a lot. Oh, and the other thing is, I said, well, like Hamlin has somebody meet me at 7:30 in the morning, and they start the classes at 8, state mandates 8 hours, okay? And then they come back about 4:30, and I make sure that everything is cleaned up and everything's put away. But I was told the other day that you have to have somebody here on premises at all times. Okay, again, if that's your policy, fine. I'm just telling you, the ones that I deal with, you're the only one. And it makes it very difficult for me. So anyways, I just wanted you guys to know, and I don't know if you have any questions for me or not. So,
I have one question. You spoke of your indemnification by the state. Do you happen to have a copy of that with your name on it? Just out of curiosity.
I've been doing this for 20 years. I do
You don't
a
know where it
volunteer
is?
service agreement every year and send it in.
Okay.
They would probably, if my instructor number for Marine is 723, and for snowmobiling, his instructor number is 49. If you call them up, I'm sure they can give it to you. And there's been a lot of changes in personnel. You can understand that over the last 20, 30 years. I mean, I got a son who is 43, he's born in 81, yeah, so he's 43. And I got involved in this stuff when he was in Boy Scouts, okay? As I said, one of my claims to fame, if you will, is I taught, somehow, snowmobile unit decided that they were gonna have an adult course and a youth course. And the adult course was 4 hours. So I think they believe that just because you're 18, you know something. You might need a little bit more. Well, then they changed and they no longer have the adult course. But the Monroe County Sheriff's Office wanted to teach the adult course, and I still remember 02/02/02, February 2nd, 2002. I got a call and I taught the adult snowmobile course to, I think, 9 Monroe County sheriffs at the time, so that they could go and teach their course. So, again, I'm just trying to help people out, keep them safe on the snowmobiles and on the water. And I just think somehow this is making it very difficult to do. So, no questions, that you guys know.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else that would like to address the town at this time?
Hi, good evening, Linda Gerardo, 110 Iron Center Road. Welcome,
Thank you.
very glad to have you, and I know the community is too.
Thank you very much.
Just a couple questions on the upcoming resolutions. I don't know if you have the
if you heard the question. I also know you're not here to work, but that would be best answered by the Highway Department.
It says,
This is the Resolution 104 authorizing the town to sign New York State Department of Transportation 24 to 25 supplemental agreement and adjustments to the snow and ice.
up to 309,662.30. I'm just wondering what it's coming from. Do you know what it was? How much it's increasing?
We have a copy in our office of last year's, but, yeah, not off the top of my head. Every year, we have to fill out labor and equipment,
Yeah.
forms and sent in conjunction with our finance department, and they get sent to the state, 3-year averages, but we do have that stuff in our office.
And
Thank you.
just so you know, I mean, we all have a copy of it, and it's literally a boilerplate template that the numbers are then filled in based on the calculation. So it's not as though it was a mistake or anything like that, it's just we literally have to do this, and to be honest, we do like 6 of these, and they're all slightly different. New York State.
It just looked like an increase in the budget or something.
You have to, if we receive a grant, we have to increase the budget, we have to increase the revenues on the budget side. Doesn't mean we're taxing anybody more, it's just the way that municipal finance works.
Thank you.
And Linda, this is money we're getting from the state.
Correct.
Revenue,
It's all
Revenue.
revenues.
Revenue, not a cost.
Oh, thank you.
for us
Yeah.
plowing their state
For us,
roads.
for plowing the state roads.
Oh,
So,
Adjustment.
well, to be honest, it counterbalances, right? Any adjustment in the budget, one side goes to the other side as well, because there's an expense to our people going out. But you have to adjust the budget on both sides of the ledger, in making, any time that we're even receiving free money.
and then the second question, again, I don't know if you can answer it at this time, but, since Doug is now, appointed as the superintendent, will there be a deputy superintendent? Will somebody be taking his place or?
I'll answer that. Now that there is an appointed highway superintendent, I've actually looked at a couple different sets of case law on it. Even though he is not the elected highway superintendent, he assumes all of the roles and responsibilities of the elected highway superintendent, given the appointment. So from here, it is his prerogative to make those decisions.
We'll be moving forward.
Let us know.
Yep.
Thanks, thank you very much.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, if anybody wants really good, firm, concrete answers to these questions, we are open 8:30 to 4, 5 days a week, email, phone call. If you're looking to get those answers, most people will do it that way, and then we can give you the information. This is obviously a great forum, but you know, it's sometimes better if you're really looking for an answer to reach out to one of the offices. So, is there anybody else here that wants to address the board?
I'm Matthew Larkinson. My question was, what WeTech device is most important to you?
Say that again?
What WeTech device is most important to you? The police devices?
Oh,
He's referencing,
yes,
the
the items that are available for this grant.
Resolution 107. There's a list of items
Yep.
that are available under that grant. He's wondering what the town board feels are the most
It's
important.
not asking you.
He said he was nervous, and I said, you know what, I don't like to talk in public meetings. We'll do it together, and I'll be the back.
Most important, I'll respond by kind of going through some of these a little bit, Matthew. License plate readers, while they sound like if you're going 1 mile over the speed limit, they're going to somehow write you a ticket, that's not really what that's for. If you maybe know this, Matthew, maybe you don't, but we've had an awful lot of people that come here to this town that want to cause some havoc, you know, quite a few stolen cars and things of that nature. And what a license plate reader does is it helps us, without having a physical person there, scan license plates of vehicles that either have warrants out for arrests or that are stolen or things like that. And that really communicates downtown with our partners in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and it really just helps us stay doing small town policing and helps give that data there. So that's pretty big for me. Unmanned aerial vehicles, otherwise known as drones. There are situations not just in, hey, we don't know where this person is, let's send an airplane up there, but there's also situations where we want to know if somebody is in a building and the building's on fire. And some of these drones have the capabilities to detect whether, somebody's inside injured. And if the goal is to serve and protect and make sure that we're doing right by our residents, that seems like a new piece of technology that could be advantageous to us in making sure that in any type of disaster we have, more capabilities than we currently have. So I like that one. I'm never opposed to updated software applications, as the chief said, using an Excel spreadsheet to go through the rather complicated aspects of a road patrol, especially when you have 4 platoons. It's something that we're either going to spend time catching bad guys or we're going to spend time in front of an Excel spreadsheet. And there's 2 people here in town that like doing that, and one is our finance director, and maybe the other's Malene, I don't know. But that's about it. Nobody else does. So anything that we can do to keep our people safe, to keep the community safe, and find efficiencies, I think is really, really important. Because not everything can be, let's just increase the number of people. Sometimes it's, let's increase the capabilities of what we currently have. Body-worn equipment, especially if that relates to keeping our people safe, honestly, that's actually probably at the top of my list. But anybody else? Nope. No.
Chief, what's your number 1 on the list?
Well, I'm gonna answer it with kind of a non-answer. I think it's all important, because the problem is criminals and crime is constantly advancing, right? And we're bound to a budget, and to keep up and to keep relevant with all of that technology, we need technology to fight crime. So I could go through and pick which one's the most important. Overall, they're all important. I would agree with the town supervisor, the body-worn equipment's probably one of the top ones for me, only because it protects everybody. It protects the public, it protects our officers, and it protects the town. I've used that frequently where we have someone call in and complain about our officers, and I say, are you sure? Because I have a video. And then I spin my monitor around, and then the problem goes away. We can also use that to highlight good work. The license plate readers is part of a bigger network, where if we subscribe to that and we have a kidnapping and we can identify a vehicle leaving the area, we can track it wherever it may go. And to quell some of the Big Brother conspiracy theories, every time you drive on the freeway or drive down 394, 95, 90, we're already there. So we're not doing anything new or novel here. It's just, again, trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak, in fighting crime. What do you think? Pretty good?
What's your favorite?
What do you like the best?
Laser scanner.
Oh, yeah, 3D printer.
Technology.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, buddy.
thanks, bud. I don't know how anybody could follow that, but is there anybody else that would like to address the board at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the privilege of the floor. Gonna have to go back here a second. There are 2 correspondences here. One that our finance director, along with a number of us, went to a training at the Association of Towns, and Sherry has put some of her notes in there. Bit of sad news, but I guess I could be proud of this at the same time. Our longtime police investigator, Rob Tiger, has announced that he will be leaving OPD. Very sad about that, but at the same time that he is going to step into a police chief's role in the village of Avon. So we're obviously immensely proud of him going on. He's already been a leader for a very long time, and kind of taking the things that he's learned here and in other situations and going and leading a department in Avon. So we obviously wish him all the best luck. I mean, I know that he'll have the support of our department as he learns his new role there. So very appreciative of his time here in the town. Okay, reports from town officers. I will try to make this short. I always say that, and then it's never short. I usually hear about it the next day. We have been making significant progress on the Buffalo Road development. We met with BME, which is our architect, design consultant that's really helping us with this, and they've put together some preliminary designs. We're excited to share that with the community pretty soon, but it's pretty exciting. We did attend the annual Association of Towns meetings in New York. I'm not going to go through everything, but on top of the immense and intense training that a number of us that went there received, it's also an advocacy group for things in Albany that are clearly broken, continue to be broken, that are not being resolved by frankly, the one-party rule in New York. And some of the initiatives on this legislative agenda actually are voted on by delegates from each town. There are 900-something towns? 900, but who's counting? 933 towns. And I will tell you that the most nay votes on any one item was maybe 6 nay votes. All the others were either voted on unanimously or with 1 or 2 dissenting votes. Just a couple of them. Preserving and supporting home rule. The governor continues to try and take this from local control. And we in the town of Ogden, and apparently in 930 other towns, say, stop. This is our town. You do not get to come in and tell us where we need to build low-income housing or industrial parks or whatever else. It is our town. Maintain and increase aid and incentives to municipalities' fundings, especially as it relates to highway projects. There's another separate one that talks about money for infrastructures related to water and sewer. We have never had dedicated funding programs, but we keep being pushed to expand and grow residential. How are we supposed to do that if we do not have funding for extremely expensive infrastructure? This one is infuriating, but we would like the governor to finally declare general ambulance service as an essential service. I don't even understand how it is not. We in the town of Ogden have declared it an essential service, which is why we put together an ambulance district to protect this town. But because of the non-action in Albany, what's happening is we have to include that as part of our tax cap, which actually takes away from the programs we have right here in town. So because of that, we also are really demanding that the governor reform inequities in real property tax cap formula. I mean, it's insane what we only are held to where all other taxing jurisdictions just are not. We also want an increase in the salary cap for retired public officials returning to public office, or not public office, public service. So you have a retired person that works in the assessor's office. They can only make up to, I believe the number is $32,000. That's it. So we have a shortage in a lot of these areas, and in order to get one of these people back, we're not able to pay them more than that. That hasn't changed in more than a decade at least, and it's got to be more than that. There's a couple others in here, and one that really irks me that we don't currently have is I would like that the towns have the ability to negotiate in pilot agreements. Currently, that's all county. We have an Amazon facility that is just pretty quick to opening, but it's been 3 years and we had no say in the way that 15-year tax abatement was designed. And I believe not only should we have a seat at the table, but we should be the chair of the committee to decide what types of things should go into this town and the amount of our residents that are gonna cover the taxes for these large entities that are coming in. I want those businesses, but we should at very least have a seat at the table there. And a number of other things that I'll go into another time, but these are our priorities. These were voted on pretty unanimously, and the governor, it's actually really funny because probably at like number 8 or 9, the governor actually walked in and addressed the entire crowd. So in the list of the things that we wanted, I kind of wanted to stand up and be like, can you just read this? That would be great. But she talked a good game, and I hope that she means what she said, because we need help in these towns. I also wanted to mention that we are continuing a pet food drive that we have until the end of the month. We've got actually pretty good stock over there in our donation chest, and maybe every other month we're gonna have a new donation to different nonprofits and charities here in town. On Friday, we have our annual luncheon and leadership training for department heads and their leadership staff, so excited to impart some, what we're working on is strength-based leadership and identifying those qualities, not just in ourselves, but in our leadership team. So excited for that. Did meet with our safety coordinator and the school superintendent this week. We've been having conversations as part of our emergency preparedness team and plan on emergency shelters and what's the actual process if we need to staff that. We already have an IMA with the school district for a shelter itself, but we really want to fine tune all the details that are in that. So my thanks to Todd for all of his work on that. There's some new perimeter safety upgrades that are going in thanks to the safety committee, who have made some recommendations just on how to continue to keep the exterior of our facilities safe. I won't go into the details of that because that would then let you know what we're doing. Let's see. This is a pretty interesting one. We met this morning, but we've been having this conversation for a while. Speaking of the governor trying to take away local control of our zoning laws, I think it was in last year's budget, or maybe it was the year before, because it's happened 2 or 3 years in a row. Governor has tried really hard to demand that there is so much residential growth in each town. And if the town doesn't comply, they're gonna come in and basically say that we're just doing this. The town of Ogden has politely said, we have growth, we have development in multiple different ways of residential specific. And so thanks, but again, let us run the town. And the governor heard that, completely changed course, and instead initiated what she should have done, which is to provide an incentive instead of forcing, provide an incentive and actually help us out. So one of the things that we would need to do is to pass a resolution declaring that we are a pro-housing community. Some of the stipulations are that we have to have grown by 1/3 of 1% in population, done, or by 1% over the last 3 years, which again, done and done. And this tails into this. This board has actually changed the zoning of a specific property. I believe it was called Park View, but it's essentially the proposal off of Big Ridge Road. It's kind of hard to imagine, but there is a little bit of a space between 2 homes and then a ton of acres back behind the medical facility there, the ACM lab, that has had a plan at first for senior apartments, was rezoned for just multifamily apartments, then sold to a developer that wanted to build single-family patio homes, then back to multifamily apartments. The building inspector and I sat down with the team recently, and listened to them re-propose apartments. And we politely said, you are in the correct zone. But if you need anything from us, the answer is no, because we do not want these. And they came back and they said, fine, then we will go back to creating residential units that will be for sale. I actually think that that is a huge win, that they want to work with us on that. We do believe in having a wide variety of housing, including housing that people can purchase and own that has an HOA. It's gonna be geared towards that 55-plus community, and it's gonna be right there with sidewalks right next to the village. I think it is kind of a no-brainer, but that'll go in front of the planning board. So right there, you're talking, I think it was close to 60 or 70 units. So I think that's already our 0.3%. In other development news, the Gizzi family is revamping their project. If you remember, off there on Whittier Road, they had proposed self-storage, and then in front of that, a retail space. It had shifted a little bit to these mixed-use spaces, and in working with them, we've gotten them to revamp the look of that, because we equally said, I don't know if this is gonna work. And to their credit, they went back and completely changed the design. It will look much more like a commercial retail space, but it will be very unique. It will be for different types of businesses that aren't necessarily a traditional retail business. So an electrician, a landscaper, people that would otherwise run the businesses out of their own homes, which we want to invite people out of their garages and into these businesses. So very excited for that. Mr. Falone, Joe Falone, and I have been having conversations the last couple of days. If you know, he's got that, if you remember, there were a couple of residents that came maybe a year ago, maybe less than a year ago, that were a little bit upset at some of the remaining construction materials in that development. And we've been working, trying really hard to get that cleaned up and to get the next phase of that process going. And it's been, I will admit, a little bit of a struggle. And I think Mr. Falone has moved on to the next chapter of his business, gotten some family members involved, his daughter, and he told me today that he's ready to move on to the next phase and actually construct the rest of it. So again, something we've been pushing for and are excited to see come to fruition. Ellicott Development, that would be the corner of 259 and 31. We all know that there is a Walgreens that's there, but it is confirmed that we will be entertaining an AutoZone. It will be coming, and Quickly's. We've talked about Quickly's a lot. There was some issues between the entities, and I believe that those are resolved, and that will really be the beginning of the first part. All of that will actually be off 259, not off of 31. I think the AutoZone was planned for that originally, but that really gets the ball moving for the rest of the development, and all those have to go through the planning process and everything else. But all of those things have been taking a long time. They will start to come to fruition, so we're excited for that. Very last, I just wanted to take the time on behalf of the board, although the board has shared their sentiments as well, to really thank the highway department and our maintenance crews for walking through all the iterations of the various storms, and not just our crews, but our staff as well, because I know that our staff works really hard to make sure that our crews have sufficient equipment and everything else. So thanks to Moline as well for everything that you've done. That's it. Councilman Baker is not here. Councilman Gerbino.
Nothing to report.
Councilman Hinman.
You said a lot, so I don't have much left. As far as training that we went down to, but I did want to just say, one of the big things that I took away was there were good classes to brush up on a lot of things, a lot of topics, but I was very encouraged that a lot of the class, probably a majority of the classes I was in that had anything to do with stuff we've been dealing with over the last 2 years, that it confirmed that the way we handled it was correct, and I was very happy to hear that. And I talked with the people that were teaching the programs afterwards, and then shared with them what we had to deal with in Ogden and how things were handled, and they said, nope, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. And so I was encouraged. I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but I want the board to know that what we've been doing and how we've been handling it is exactly the way it's supposed to be done legally and everything. So, other than that, that's it.
Councilman Toms?
No report, thank you.
No name, but Highway Superintendent's report.
Yeah, I have a few things. We've been busy with snow plowing as everybody's been shoveling their driveways and along with that. So I asked Malene the other day just to pull the stats because obviously this month went right by with snow. And looking back, our crews were on the road every day up until the other day when it finally stopped and the sun came out. Every day we were either plowing or salting, other than 2 days, and even those 2 days we were out doing some sort of snow removal. We were out 3 times pushing the snow back on the roads out west. So we've used 1,830 tons of straight salt this year and 1,455 tons of fire rock, which we typically use under the colder temperatures, but due to the salt availability, we're using that lately just to keep a balance. And we do supply BOCES in the school district, and they've used 577 tons so far this year. And we always support them. We did help out the village with a little bit while they're waiting to get a load. Some loads delivered, and also the town of Parma. We gave them some to get through because they actually ran out. So it's been busy, but we did get a little break in the last few days, and moving on to some projects while the sun was out. So the fuel island was off. They were off all last week due to the weather. The snow kind of hindered their work. They came back this week. Last week we had a meeting with the project manager. I got to sit down with him, and we would be starting to do a few things with them as we got to do bollards and some backfilling, but it's going to take some time waiting for the snow to melt before we can backfill. So that project, asking him in the meeting last week, was a completion of the beginning of May. Probably going to be realistically mid-May for completion of that due to the weather. It's been a fight for them guys. Seems like we were joking about it with them this morning. They come in on and off to meet with them, and it seemed like once they showed up, the snow showed up from the day they started that project, and it's just been snowing. So, and with that, ironically, it was a Monday last week, and the height of us running around the clock shifts, the state did shut us off for fuel because of all the fuel going out with them and us, and we had to spend 2 days going to Burn Dairy purchasing 421 gallons, running our trucks through Burn Dairy for 3 shifts for 2 days, so around the clock. So it worked out. We made it through, but it is relevant to what goes on. The audio-visual project that was going on at the Highway Department has been completed with the consisting of monitors and TVs, the computers, the smart board, and just as recent as this morning, we actually sat down in there and we're watching some videos on constructing our new coverall building, so it's already been beneficial to sit in there with a group of 4 or 5 employees and use it versus sitting at a computer monitor. So thanks to Todd Ritzenthaler, he headed that up and saw that through, and even our crews earlier in January worked together to pull some of that wiring and stuff to get that done, save some money for the project. So the switch upgrade, another thing in the mechanics bay, that's part of the new fiber project over there for future fiber going out to the fuel island. That's been connected, and same thing, some of our crews did some of that work internal, running that, and Todd working on that to complete that at a lower cost. And we've received all our coverall building for across the street parts, and actually today we started assembling some of that while the weather's nice. and getting that together. It's gonna take some time, but working on that. And lastly, next Tuesday, through the day, and then Wednesday, we're traveling to Albany to Advocacy Day for, speaking of funding for the CHIPS program and the money that is allocated for road projects. So I'll be joining the local superintendents down there for Advocacy Day.
Very good.
Thank you.
Town Clerk, Noel Burley.
We are, still busy collecting taxes, and we are in the process of starting to send out receipts. So that,
Very good. Town Attorney Brian Marionetti, you have an update on communication about the Veterans Memorial.
Yeah, briefly on that. So, as there's some unique issues with that piece of property, essentially, the county is fee owner of the property, and it goes back, way back in history, how that happened, and essentially, for us to apply for a grant to improve that property, the county as fee owner would need to be a part of that. So there was some back and forth going on, but my last communications with the county law department was that they would be willing to help out in any way that they can, and they think it would be a positive thing if there were some grant funds available for that Veterans Memorial. So they are open and willing to help out with that application any way they can. So that's a positive update there, and it sounds like that can move forward.
Which is what we suggested from the beginning, and then went round and round until they just agreed with us. Thank you. Okay, there being no other unfinished business, we can move to new business. Madam Clerk.
Resolution 103, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sale to execute the New York State Department of Transportation State Snow and Ice 5-year contract extension.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Tom, seconded by Councilman Hinman. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 104, authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sale to sign the New York State Department of Transportation 2024-2025 supplemental agreement and adjustments to the Snow and Ice Agreement, contract number D014812.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 105, authorizing Ogden Police Chief Travis Gray to assign Sergeant Joseph Miller as a uniformed investigator with the Ogden Police Department.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 106, authorizing the adoption of changes to the schedule of fees for the Parks and Recreation Department for the year 2025.
I'll move that.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Gerbino. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Next, please.
Resolution 107, authorizing the acceptance of a $67,185 grant from the Division of Criminal Justice under the state's Law Enforcement Technology Program for the purpose of acquiring law enforcement technology and equipment for the police department.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Keeping in mind that we've already approved Resolution 108.
Authorizing Ogden Town Supervisor Mike Sale to execute a settlement agreement on behalf of the town of Ogden with the International Brotherhood of Teamsters Local 118.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Gerbino, seconded by Councilman Toms. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Does anybody have anything else to discuss before we adjourn? Then I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Hinman, seconded by Councilman Toms. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Then we are adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks for coming.